Hi everyone, it's Winona the left-handed beater, and I thought I would come at you today um, with a video just giving you my life's updates since I've been gone for so long and kind of explaining what's been happening. And I thought it would be best to do it in a video on its own, and I thought you'd get bored looking at my hands, so I put a wig on and put a bit of makeup on and thought I'd come on board. So, middle of August, bad week, really bad week in my life. Um, Monday, my dishwasher died, and it just wouldn't turn on. And my husband's like, "Well, you don't really need a dishwasher," and I'm like, "Yeah, I do need a dishwasher," and we still haven't got one, but we'll get one here in the next month when we go to the city one time. Anyway, the next day, Chloe, my cat, got into the garage, and we didn't notice. And he was in there all night. And he, about early in the morning, my husband heard the dogs barking. We have 4 dogs, and we keep them in the garage. And he went down, and the dogs had attacked Chloe. And poor guy. I sat with him all that day. Sat with him on my lap. I kind of knew he wasn't going to make it. And that night he passed away. I was devastated. If I could shoot a gun, I would have gone out and shot the dogs, because I was just devastated what had happened to him. Anyway, that afternoon we got a call. Sorry. We had to go to Regina, to Emerald Park, to see my mother-in-law because she wasn't doing well. So we went up to see her, and she was sleeping when we got there, but she woke up and she sat up a bit with her daughter supporting her, and I helped her eat some yogurt, and she was complimenting me on my clothing. That's the kind of woman she was. She was complimenting me on my clothing. And then I said to her, "Is the yogurt good?" And she says, "Yep, you want to try it?" And she gets this twinkle in her eye. She's just the sweetest lady. And I said, "No, I don't like strawberry very much." And and then she lied down again and went back to sleep, and we left. So about a day or two later, we got the call that she had passed away, and we knew it was coming. And it was for the best, because she had dementia, and she wasn't the woman she used to be. She was the most fabulous mother-in-law you could ask for. She was kind, and just never had a bad thing to say about anyone, ever, 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 ever. And I was always happy. I was always happy. And I always say I'm blessed because I have the best mom in the world, and I have the best mother-in-law in the world. And many of you may argue with me, but I feel that way. And anyway, so she passed away. And then that afternoon, my TV in my studio died. You can see back there, I've got a TV, and I've got a TV above it. Well, the one on the wall died. So that was just enough to send me off. And I went into my bed, and I slept the rest of the day away. And my husband came up and he says, "How can you sleep so much?" And I says, "I don't know. I think grief just makes me tired." So that was that week. And then we had the funeral a week, the Saturday. And I did the eulogy, which was so easy because she was she was such a nice woman, and she was so funny, and she just had so many good stories. I could have stopped anyone in town and asked them about her, and they could have given me a story about her. So we went to the funeral, and my mom was down for it. And often when mom eats, she has problems with her stomach after, and she wasn't feeling good after, and so she didn't want to go over to the other farm where everyone was meeting after. And I was really tired, and I didn't want to go either. So I said to Dave, if you don't need me there, I'm going to stay home with Mom. So I stayed home while Dave went over there and visited with all his cousins and that. And the next morning we took off for our holiday down to Kentucky. So we drove for a few days, and had an interesting conversation with Dustin, because he always wanted to stay in the center of the city when we stopped. And as you know, it costs more money to stay in the center of a city than it does to stay in a suburb area outlying. And plus, you have to drive into the city then. And he said, "Well, you guys are 2 old ladies, and you just go in the room and you just go to sleep." He says, "I'm not. I drive all day, and I'm young, and I need to go out somewhere and party." So anyway, when we were in bigger cities, we let him stay in. We stayed in the center of the town. But we left on Sunday and we got there Wednesday. Oh, on the way there, we stopped in a small town to get gas, and it happened to be a town that was known for its antique shops. And Dustin and I are both we love thrift shops and antique shops. And excuse me, I raised that boy really well. So we went to these antique shops, and I picked up some really cool things. Um, but I was in one of the shops, and these two older men were talking about this guy going over to Winona, which is Winona, Minnesota. And I know there was a Winona, Minnesota, because I bought an antique tin about that size at a antique shop in Minot years ago. So I said, well, how far is it? And they said, it's about an hour. So I'm like, let's go. And Dustin says, it's 2 hours. We got to drive there, and then we got to get back where we're going. And I said, I know, but when are we going to get down here again? I said, let's go. So we drove to Winona. I walked around and took pictures of signs that had my name on them. And we went for lunch in a restaurant. And I took a picture of the menu because it had my name on it. And I took a picture of one of their local delicacies is pigeon wings from the bridge, pigeons that live on the bridge, right? And we have pigeons in our barn. We have a heck of a time getting rid of them. And I thought, oh boy, here we could do something. We could do pigeon wings. It's kind of, but so I took a picture of that to show Dave. And then it was my turn to drive when we're leaving town, and it's 75 miles an hour. Some of the highways are 80 miles an hour down there. That's too fast for my brain to think. But I was driving, and I think there were 3 or maybe even 4 lanes on this highway. And I'm from rural Saskatchewan. We have, in our whole big province, which is big, our provinces in Canada are really big. We have just over 1 million people in the whole province. So, I'm not used to driving these lanes where there's 5 million people in the city kind of thing. And we had to pull in for gas. And when we did, I said to Dustin, you need to drive because I'm going to kill us. I can't do this. So he pretty much drove pretty much the rest of the trip until we were on our way home and we got into the prairies again. But we drove, and then we got into Cincinnati that night, I think. And the next day we went to the Ark, which is what we drove down there for. And it's amazing. Oh my goodness. If you can go. It is so cool. It is so big. It is huge. And one thing that I took home with me out of that experience was when you look at picture books, you always see a big lion and lioness and big giraffes going up the ramp into the Ark. But what if it wasn't full-size animals? What if it was babies? You can get a lot more babies into that Ark than you can get full-size animals. And I thought that was really interesting because I'd never thought of that before. So anyway, we did that, and then we went and we panned for crystals, or gemstones in the jewelry world. There was a family with 3 girls that were doing it, and I was talking to them, and then the little girls gave me some crystals out of each of their trays. And so I bought some, and Dustin and I panned a bit. And when I got my tray clean, I asked them to come over and they could each pick out a crystal for themselves. I figured I have enough, they can pick out what they want. And then one of the little girls said, you like pyrite, I should say? And I said, yes, I do. And she says, well, I'll give you all my pyrite. And I said, well, maybe you should hold on to some of it because you might like it later. So it was really a nice experience. And then we went on a virtual reality trip with the goggles, and the chairs move, and it was really cool. So we did that. And then we drove there because I wanted to see Jeff and Sherry Easter sing. And I was a little disappointed. There were 3 groups instead of just them, and there was a speaker, and each of them did 20 minutes. So I was a little bit disappointed because they only sang 4 songs, and I thought I've driven a long way for 4 songs. But actually it was 2 hours long when you consider all the singers, and all of the singers were really good. So I guess I shouldn't be disappointed. It was fun, and we had a fabulous day. I was just on cloud 9 that day. I was having the greatest time. So then the next day I asked them to take me to a cross-stitch shop, and I went, and I said I need at least 2 to 3 hours in there. and I wasn't even finished, and they came to pick me up, and it was really hot out, and they had stopped to see if we can get the air conditioner fixed, because the air conditioner went on my new Jeep. Mice had gotten in and plugged the drain hole, and it wasn't draining, and I don't know what, but now it doesn't work. So we got in the next day to Midas, and got them to look at the air conditioner. They blew out all the mouse nests and everything, but they still couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. So they asked if I wanted them to continue. They'd start tearing apart the car, and I said no, because I didn't want to be stuck there. And in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is on one side of the river, and then the other side of the river, you're in Kentucky. But I didn't want to be stuck there for days waiting for parts. I thought, well, we'll just have to put up with it. So then we went to the Creation Museum, and we were going to go caving. There was a place where you could go caving, and you could take a boat underneath, and it drove. There was a lake or a river under the in the cave system, and you could sit in a boat and do it, because I can't walk very far. So but then by the time we were done the Creation Museum, it was so hot. It was into the high 30s, and we were all just done for. So I said, why don't we start our way back home, and we can get home that much sooner then. Well, it didn't turn out that way. It turned out it took us longer to get home, because we avoided the big cities so that I could drive more, and the car was so hot inside that we could only drive for a short time, and then we'd have to stop and take a break, which thankfully they have got this chain of gas stations, Love's gas stations, and they're all over the place, and they have McDonald's in some of them, Subway, and I don't know what all they had in them, but we would stop there, and we'd have a cold drink or ice cream, and just rest for a while. In the Loves, they had a gift shop, and the gift shop was fabulous. I did a lot of Christmas shopping there. I also did a lot of Christmas shopping at their Cracker Barrel restaurants, which have the best gift store ever. I bought clothes there. I bought princess dresses for Nova. I bought an outfit for Olivia. I bought a guitar-shaped cast iron frying pan for my son, who plays guitar and loves to cook, and for Christmas. Yeah, it was really good, and it didn't cost a lot. It was really reasonably priced. So we pulled into Iowa City, I think it was 37 degrees outside. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but in Celsius, that's hot. That's really hot. And I'm sure it was even hotter with humidity. So we stayed in we stayed in Indianapolis, we stayed in Iowa City, we stayed in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It was really hot when we pulled into there, but the next day was cooler, and it wasn't quite as bad. And we got to Fargo that day, and we could have gone further, but we were getting tired, and what's an extra day? So we went thrifting in Fargo. We went to some thrift shops and picked up some really cool things. My mom got a silver tea set for $12.50. It was $14, but she got the seniors discount. So that was cool. I forget what I bought. Oh, I bought a cross-stitch magazine from the 80s that I made my first cross-stitch piece. Just hold on, I'll see if I can get it. This is the first piece I ever did in cross-stitch. Is this plate with Santa on it. And it was because this was our first Christmas on the farm. So I'd since have given away all my magazines, so I didn't have that. So I thought, oh, that is so cool. I need to buy that. So I picked that up, and I don't know if I picked too much else up down there. But I picked up some picture frames to frame some cross-stitch projects, and a couple of books. And I just got a notice here. It threw me off a bit. So we stayed in Fargo, and then the next day we went to Minot. And we could have driven home from Minot because we're only 3 hours from Minot. But I thought I wanted to stay in Minot because I wanted to pick up batting, and I wanted to do a bit of shopping. Dustin wanted to do a bit of shopping, and Minot's like a second home to us. We stay in the same hotel all the time, and you just feel like home. So we got poolside rooms, and I sat and cross stitched out in the pool area for a while, and we went and got my batting, and we went to Hobby Lobby, and I got some cross stitch, some floss, and some fabric for cross stitching, and I picked up a couple of Christmas presents there. Picked up some calendars for next year. Then the next day we went back to Hobby Lobby to grab another Christmas gift that I didn't get the previous day, and we went to Walmart, and can't go to Minot without going to Walmart. Well, actually, you can. It's Hobby Lobby and Joann's. You can't go without going into. Oh, I picked up a few beads at Hobby Lobby. Actually, I can show them to you now. They're on my desk. I picked up. I wanted some super duos, which was what I went in to look for. But I picked up some tubes of these 6-0s. I picked up an orange one. Just kind of. I'm in the mood for autumn. Can you tell I'm wearing a sweater today? It's much cooler out today, actually, than it has been. And then this is kind of a lighter orange color. They go really well together. I don't know if the camera picks that up. And then in their clearance aisle, they had some super duos, so I picked up what they had. These are a Picasso, the red Picasso color. Oops, get that up there. And then these are the purple, I forget what they call it. They put the jet metallic suede purple, and I got 3 tubes of that. They were on clearance. So got those, and we came home. Washed clothes. The next morning I had a massage in town, so I went to my massage, and then I had to run to Regina for my mammogram, my yearly mammogram, and it's good. Everything is good. And then I stayed over at Mom's, and then the next day I got groceries and picked up a bag of corn and brought it home. I always buy a big sack of corn. So picked that up and brought it home, and it took a couple of days to recoup. So I didn't do much for the next few days. I just sat and watched TV and binge watched The Clearing on Disney, which is a really good show if you like mysteries and intrigue kind of shows. And then yesterday, the day before, I started picking the grapes and realized I can't pick them because I need to stand. So I did one batch of grapes, made juice with them, and yesterday, and then Dave and Dustin picked the rest of them for me. So I spent the day making juice, and I'm taking it easy today because tomorrow I'll spend the day making jelly out of all the juice. There was quite a bit, so I imagine I'm going to have 5 or 6 batches of jelly to make. I said everyone's getting grape jelly this year because, boy, we had a lot of grapes. Lots and lots of grapes. Considering I didn't water all summer, that's pretty good. Pretty good. Oh, and then I did the corn. I did, what was it, 53 or 54 cobs of corn I did. And they're all, I shuck them, I take the kernels off, I mix them with some cream, butter, and sugar and put them in the oven, and then I bag them. It's quite the process. I slept really well that night. And, yeah, I got grape jelly to do. I have a retreat coming up really soon at the end of September that I have to make the party favors for. So that's going to keep me busy for the next 2 weeks. And then I have the retreat. And then after that, at the end of next month, I have a retreat as well. So I don't know how regular I'll be doing videos until both retreats are done. But I just thought I should give you a life update. And you finally get to see me, which I wasn't too thrilled to do. But I had to do it for my other channel, and I thought if I have to do it for that, excuse me, my nose is to run here. I have to do it for this channel, and I'm not too pleased to do it because I've gained so much weight, and so much of it in here since chemotherapy. I don't know if it's the medications I'm on, but my face is so chubby, and I don't like to show people that. I don't like people to see me that way, but it is what it is. And so now you have a face to put to my voice. You can't put the hair to my voice though, because as you know, I wear wigs because my hair didn't come back. So I might be a blonde today, but I haven't been a blonde for a long time. I used to be. My natural hair color is blonde. Maybe not quite this blonde, but it's blonde. But the last few wigs I've had have been brunette or brunette with some red in them. So it was kind of a shock to put this one on today and be a blonde again. So if you ever see me again, you might notice that, hey, I'm not blonde this time. Anyway, I wish you lots of luck and happiness until we meet again. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye.